Why is there such a stigma attached to being a victim of a romance scam? It's a question that's been lingering in the air, unaddressed for far too long. For many, the idea of falling victim to a romance scam seems unfathomable, something that only happens to the gullible or naive. This perception is deeply rooted in our society, and it's this very notion that feeds the stigma, casting a shadow of shame and embarrassment over those who have been conned in the name of love. But let's take a moment to really consider the situation. These scams are not the result of a lack of intelligence or weakness. No, they are the consequence of sophisticated manipulations, perpetrated by individuals who have honed their craft with one singular goal in mind: to deceive. These are not simple tricksters, they are professional con artists who exploit the most fundamental human desire, the longing for connection and companionship. To fall victim to such a scam is not a reflection of one's character or intellect. It's not about being gullible or weak, it's about being human, about yearning for love and connection. Who among us can honestly say that we've never let our guard down in the pursuit of these universal desires? Yet, despite the prevalence of these scams, many victims keep their experiences to themselves, their voices drowned by the roar of social stigma. They carry the burden of their trauma in silence, too embarrassed or ashamed to report the crime, too afraid of the judgment and ridicule they might face. This silence, however, only serves to perpetuate the problem, creating a safe haven for scammers to continue their deceitful practices unchecked. It's a vicious cycle, one that can only be broken by shedding light on the issue, by speaking out and challenging the narrative. But it's time to change the narrative. It's time to understand that being scammed doesn't mean you're gullible or weak. It's time to shift our perspective and lift the veil of stigma, because only then can we truly begin to address the issue at hand, and only then can we hope to put an end to these devastating scams. So what exactly are romance scams and how do they operate? Well, it all starts in the realm of the digital world, where scammers create intricate and believable personas to lure unsuspecting individuals into their web of deceit. Romance scams, as they are commonly known, are a form of online fraud where the scammer manipulates their victim into believing they are in a genuine romantic relationship. This is achieved through the creation of fake profiles on dating apps, social media platforms, or via email. These profiles often portray an attractive, successful individual who seems to be the perfect match. Once the stage is set, the scammer starts the process of building an emotional bond with their target. They engage in daily conversations, show interest in the victim's life, share personal stories, and often express strong feelings of love and affection early on. It's all about establishing trust, and they are incredibly good at it. After the trust is built, the scammer moves on to the next phase, the ask. This is where they start to request things from their victim. It could start small, like asking for help with a bill that's due, a little money for a family emergency, or custom clearance charges for a non-existent package filled with valuables. Over time, these requests can escalate to larger amounts of money, personal information, or even involvement in other forms of illegal activities. The scammer will always have a compelling story to justify their request. They might claim they are stuck in a foreign country with no access to their funds, a frozen bank account with a large sum of money, or that they need money for a critical medical procedure. No matter the reason, rest assured that it is a lie. Whatever the story, the end goal is always the same: to exploit the victim's emotions and willingness to help for their own financial gain. It's important to understand that these scammers are professionals. They are experienced, they are patient, and they are ruthless. They spend a lot of time and effort into perfecting their craft, and they are constantly evolving their techniques to stay ahead of the authorities. The trickery used in these scams is sophisticated, and anyone can fall prey to it. It's not a reflection of your intelligence or judgment. It's a testament to the cunning of these criminals. So stay vigilant and remember, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. But why do we tend to blame the victims rather than the scammers? It's an intriguing question, isn't it? And it's one that needs to be addressed, as it's deeply woven into our society's fabric. Regrettably, our culture often tends to point the finger at victims. We see this in various forms of crime, but it's particularly prevalent in the realm of romance scams. The question that often arises is, how could they be so naive? This blame and shame game is not just unfair but also damaging. It further victimizes those who have already been scammed. It's like a double-edged sword, cutting into their self-esteem while also discouraging them from seeking help or reporting the crime. Imagine how you would feel if you were the victim of a scam. you would already be dealing with the fallout of the scam itself, the financial loss, the betrayal, the emotional turmoil. Now, add to that the societal judgment and the insinuations that you were somehow at fault for falling prey to a skilled deceiver. It's a heavy burden to bear. Victim blaming stems from a misunderstanding of the dynamics of scams. Scammers are master manipulators. They exploit our innate desire for connection, love, and companionship. They prey on our vulnerabilities and our trust. It's not a matter of intelligence or naivety, it's about being human, having emotions, and longing for connection. So instead of asking, how could they be so naive, we should be asking, how could someone be so ruthless to exploit another's trust? We need to shift the narrative and focus on the real problem, the scammers. They are the ones who weave intricate webs of deception, who meticulously plan their moves, who lack empathy for their victims. Remember, blaming the victim only serves to empower the scammer. It creates an environment where they can continue their damaging actions with little fear of repercussion. It's time to shift the blame where it belongs, on the scammers, not the victims.
So how can we change this narrative and encourage victims to report these crimes? The first step is to understand the significance of reporting. It's not just about seeking justice for oneself, but it's also about safeguarding others, raising awareness, and potentially helping to catch the culprits. Reporting a romance scam is a brave act of standing up against the injustice that has been done, not just to you, but to countless others who may be unsuspecting targets. Let's think about it this way. Every time a scam is reported, it shines a light on the dark underbelly of this crime. It exposes the tactics used by these fraudsters, helping others to recognize the signs and avoid falling into the same trap. It's like a domino effect. One report can trigger a chain of events that protect countless others. Moreover, reporting adds to the collective knowledge about these scams. This information is crucial for law enforcement agencies to understand the patterns, methods, and scale of these scams. It equips them with the necessary tools to fight back against these criminals. And who knows, your report might just be the missing piece in an ongoing investigation. And let's not forget, breaking the silence is a step towards healing. It's a way to take back control, to say, I will not be a silent victim. It's a way to reclaim your narrative, to turn a painful experience into a powerful lesson for others. So, let's change the narrative. Let's stand up against the shame and stigma attached to being a victim of a romance scam. Let's fight back, not with anger or revenge, but with courage and resilience. Reporting a romance scam is more than just a personal act of justice. It's a societal act of defiance against those who prey on our trust and our capacity to love. It's a collective stand against the manipulation and deceit that these scammers propagate. Remember, there's no shame in falling for a scam. The real shame lies in the act of scamming itself. Thank you for watching Bear, Dark, Love. Subscribe and leave a comment below if you like these type of videos, and follow us on Instagram.